Episode 239, Cursed by Bad Mothers. She didn't want it. She did not. She cried and said, "You're like my brother, and this is wrong." He kept her under him without mercy and told her no with his moves. She was his child bride, so she was destined to marry him, wasn't she? The loud ringtone woke Camilla up from her dream. Wiping her face, she found it was covered in tears. The mobile phone was still ringing. Picking up, she saw a strange number from Austin. She answered and there was no talking on either side. After a few seconds, a soft female voice came through. "Do you want to sue him? It's obvious that you were the one who erred first, and he only treated you like that because you provoked him. You're at the police station?" "Yes." "Give the phone to the police." Serena was silent for a moment and did nothing, feeling that Camilla would harm Charlie. "You called to ask me to let it go, right?" Camilla smiled, her voice still husky. "Domestic violence is beyond the police's means, and no, I will not sue him either. Ask them to let him go." "Really?" Serena was a bit surprised and handed her phone to an officer. Indeed, after he took the call, he looked at Serena strangely. When Charlie came out, it was already in the middle of the night. Serena was so sleepy that she was lying in Jake's arms, half asleep. Suddenly, she caught a glimpse of Charlie and felt surprised. "He came out!" Charlie saw her little surprised face, and his sharp eyes were filled with sadness. "I'm sorry." She was perplexed by his sudden apology. "I caused this. If it wasn't for me, it would have been so bad for you. I thought—" With a few whimpers, his eyes were reddish. "I thought she would not do anything to a child, no matter how much she hated me. I thought she would have loved her baby. Even after I learned that Anna was not my daughter, I did not say it. I was afraid that she would become angry and leave." Hot liquid filled Serena's eyes and fell. "Had I found out about this and asked her earlier, you wouldn't have suffered so much. Sorry." Jake held her and listened to Charlie's remorseful apology, feeling sorry for both of them. Soon after dawn, Charlie asked Serena to go to the hospital and get a DNA test. She agreed. Serena had not slept all night. Charlie sent people to protect them, and after she got some rest, the couple took a flight back to Austin. After getting off the plane, Jake received a message from Charlie Wrong, which was a picture. The possibility of him being her father was 99.999999%. There was no doubt that Charlie was Serena's biological father. Serena stared at the picture for a long while, her emotions extremely complicated. "Should I tell Dad? I mean, Travis, Dad?" He gently stroked her hair and whispered, "Do you think it's necessary for him to know?" "Yes, but it's too cruel." "Let's go with the flow. He has long known that you are not his biological daughter, and that you are the daughter of Camilla. When the two of them meet, they will naturally know." "I think you're right." It was still holiday season, and things had just begun to pick up. Jake's driver Marcus was still on leave, so Drake had booked a taxi for both of them to get home. Shortly after getting in the car, he received a call from Laurel. Her voice was rushed. "Sir, Miss Cox is crazy. The woman is a maniac." When she and Jake had first arrived at the Austin First Hospital, Lila had been controlled, sedated, and tied to the hospital bed. Unexpectedly, when she had seen them, she was not hysterical, nor did she struggle madly. Gazing at them, she laughed like a psycho. She laughed louder and louder, with morbid madness and calm ridicule. Looking at Jake, her eyes had reddened with tears. Serena felt scared, and Laurel was talking to Jake. "Early morning she said that she wanted to eat lemon coriander and chicken soup and asked me to make it. I could not leave, but she was insistent, so I went by the ingredients. But I don't know how she ran into the baby incubator, took the child, and tried to take the baby out. In the process to contain a lot of things were smashed around. Serena's heart leapt and she asked, "What about the child?" "I have already sent him to first aid. The initial diagnosis says he's okay, but since the baby's premature, it's very weak. I hope he will regain his strength. What I do not understand is what kind of a woman Lila Cox is. She is his mother, and yet she behaves like this. She's a beast, a terrible mother. It's maddening." Laurel was very angry, talking while wiping away her tears. "She messed around and got pregnant. The poor baby had terrible luck with a mother like this." Lila listened to this and had no reaction. Beast. Unqualified mother. During the time she was lying in the hospital, she heard too much of this. But why? Why should she live like this? Lila's eyes were fixed on Jake. She smiled happily. Serena's eyes were met. Watching Lila's confused look, she cursed. Bitch! What had a newborn ever done to her? Why did she involve the baby in the grievances of the previous generation? Serena was tormented to know that mothers were like this. First it was her encounter with Camilla, who was the kind of person who made her an orphan. As she put it, Serena was living a more miserable life than a beggar when she was little. And now Lila was also such a person. What could be wrong with a newborn child? Why did the baby have to go through such a mess? Serena's heart wrenched. She was upset. "Did you call the police?" Laurel was dazed. Looking at Serena, she nodded. "Yes. Keep an eye on her. She's guilty of attempted murder." Serena wiped her tears away. "I'll go see the child. Where is he?" "Still in the emergency room." Before she finished, Jake and Serena had already left the ward. Lila closed her eyes and lay in bed. The child was recovering and had been safe for now. But because the child was too weak, it was still unsure whether he would make it out alive or not. She looked at the baby and felt like she understood him. Both of them were cursed of having bad mothers. It wasn't their fault. Serena heard the doctor's words and her tears fell. The child's facial features were very attractive. His little hands and feet were curled up, and his face was still wet. It seemed that he had nothing to do with Lila, but that woman gave birth to him. She looked at the baby in the box and pulled the hand of Jake. He also looked at him, as if he had seen through everything. She opened her mouth and eventually did not say it. She reached for his waist and whimpered, "Do you want to adopt him?" The low voice came from the top of her head. Serena heard it and held him tight without speaking.